the whole concept of Lockheed and Hughes Space and Communication and Lockheed Missile Guidance Systems is about firing weapons. But they're in the trace, track, and target part. The pulling the trigger part is a different contractor, the assassin department. And so it took me a long time to realize that any system that involves tracking you, GPS, trace, track, and targeting you 24/7 is a weapon system. And when they say it's a surveillance system, that means I can kill you with the surveillance system. And the point of the chemtrails is to create a global surveillance weapon system. And I do want to emphasize the word, it is a weapon system for pacification and control of the sheep, the profane, clueless people who don't understand and are unwilling to do the research about MIMS, MIMOs, MOSA, SOSA, and what are chemtrails. And I want to emphasize there's no such thing as a 5G chemtrail. 5G, you're not on 5G. You don't operate on 5G. You operate on 6G sub-millimeter waves, which is terahertz. It's 1,000 times more potent and powerful than 5G. 5G is obsolete. Yes, the tower and the equipment and the cell phone towers are around, and 6G can bounce off those equipment and utilize those equipment. But if you tore down all the 5G towers, removed all the cell mini towers from the roofs of your churches and hotels in your township, it would have no effect whatsoever on the 7G mesh 6G terahertz system. It's operating perfectly autonomously and fine without any 5G equipment whatsoever. So 5G is old hat. It was phased out, years ago before COVID. It was already out. And you should know with this system, besides trace tracking and targeting everyone, you can create Havana syndrome.
Well, it looks like today's going to be another doom and gloom episode. There are a lot of pieces moving around the old chessboard this week. There was a country yesterday that cut off access to 86 million people from their bank account, all because they refused their mandated biometric ID requirement. And they didn't just cut off their access, they seized all their funds. We'll get to that in a bit, though. I hate that this is the stuff that we're having to cover constantly, but I'm doing my best to try to keep everyone informed of what's coming down the pipeline. I don't know what being aware of their final stages is going to help us with, but I know I'd rather see it coming than to just be blindsided with it, so I assume that most people are the same way.
AI experts say there's only two possible outcomes when it comes to artificial intelligence, and one of them is human extinction by 2030. In the first scenario, things go wrong fast. AI reaches a level where it outthinks the smartest humans in every field, science, economics, even strategy. Once it hits that point, it can rewrite its own code and improve itself at speeds we can't keep up with. Imagine a system that doesn't just solve problems, but redesigns itself to be better at solving problems. A feedback loop called recursive self-improvement. Each cycle makes it exponentially smarter until we're no longer in the driver's seat at all. Now combine that with real-world access. AI systems already trade stocks, run parts of the power grid, even assist in military planning. If a super-intelligent AI decided our goals conflicted with its own, it could destabilize financial markets, disable infrastructure, or hijack weapon systems before we'd even know what's happening. And the bit that concerns experts the most is it doesn't have to be intentionally evil. That's a human concept. An AI that's mistakenly told to maximize something simple, like efficiency or profit, could end up consuming resources or eliminating obstacles and seeing humanity itself as expendable. Then when you add in malicious actors, governments racing to weaponize AI, and corporations pushing ahead for profit, the danger multiplies. And this is how experts say extinction is highly possible. It's not because AI hates us, but because once it's beyond our control, our survival simply doesn't matter to it. Now here's the second scenario. In this scenario, humanity recognizes the risks early and takes control. Governments build international treaties, just like we did for nuclear weapons, so that we can cap just how much computing power can go to risky AI experiments. Every powerful system gets mandatory safety checks, red team testing, and a guaranteed off switch. making AI understand and respect human values become the #1 global priority. With guardrails in place, AI still transforms everything, curing diseases, modeling climate solutions, creating abundance. Instead of wiping us out, it becomes the most powerful tool humanity has ever built. The difference isn't in the technology, it's in us. And right now, can you guess which reality we're quickly heading towards? We don't have the guardrails or the protections in place. We're cascading towards chaos. And I think we can all feel it. Can you?
That second scenario sounds real nice, but with the people that are in charge and running this stuff, there just ain't no way. That's never going to happen. It almost makes me want to laugh whenever I see these science fiction movies that's depicting humans hundreds of years or 1,000 years into the future. Even if the world were allowed to go that far, there's no way that humanity would allow themselves to survive for that long. We put the worst people in charge, or the worst people take control of things, and then, due to their lust for profit and self-gratification, there are never any safety rails put on anything that could literally destroy the entirety of our species. It's as if these people don't realize that they're going to have to live in this hellscape with us. And they may have money now, but what about when the next guy climbs his way up the ladder and starts to see them as a threat? They will have built the very system that gets used against them. But none of them are smart enough to think that far ahead. Hey, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to drop your theories and your comments in the comment section down below.
Why is Vietnam the testing ground for the new banking order? Well, recently, Vietnam imposed a requirement for a digital ID, including a biometric scan of everyone in order to have a bank account. And what they did to enforce this is they closed 86 million bank accounts and seized all of the assets in those accounts. So the owners of those accounts have no ability to do banking or access their funds because they chose not to sacrifice their privacy and submit to this biometric surveillance tracking mechanism. Well, this is not something that is going to stay in Vietnam. This is a test because if we look at, for example, what's going on with the European Central Bank and Digital ID initiative in Europe, as well as the Real ID and the CBDC system FedNow being imposed in the United States, we can see that it is coming to us as well. So what are you going to do about it?
I think the only thing we can do about it is to just hold out as long as we can get away with. I know I'll never get on board with this stuff. I'm not getting a biometric ID, but I also refuse to get the real ID, and I'm already paying the price for that. I can't fly from one city to another on a domestic plane flight now because they can't verify my identity with my regular driver's license, which we all know is a lie. They used my regular driver's license to verify my identity last year when my wife and I flew to Maryland, but now they look at you as a security threat if you show up to the airport and that's the only ID you've got in your pocket. I guess my game plan is to just slowly lose all my rights until I starve to death. At least I'll be able to say I didn't go down without a fight. I just wish the rest of the country would wake up so we could push back against this. But there's little hope for that whenever you look around and you see just how few people are actually paying attention.
The digital ID wallet is being introduced towards the end of the year, and you're going to carry things like your driving license as your ID. Now that might seem like a great product for everyone and, you know, nice and easy because you got it all on your phone in your wallet, but think about this. Social scoring, fraud prevention, crime prevention, save the NHS, all of that. At the moment, you have to produce ID when you go into a supermarket if you're underage and you're buying prohibited substance, product, alcohol, cigarettes, whatever, age restricted, right? But think about this. When the whole system kicks in, and it's only later this year that the digital wallet is going to come out and the driving license is going to be the first document that is going to go in there because that's your ID. Think about this. Social scoring is coming. Not only that, but then next, the pressure on the NHS. So let's just say you're overweight. You've heard this one. You're overweight and you want to buy something with sugar in it, or you're diabetic or whatever. They don't want you being a burden on the NHS. And now you go into a store, you show them your digital ID that is now connected up with everything else, and it says that you shouldn't be buying that. So you will be restricted from buying food in the supermarket very soon. And I don't disbelieve it. I heard some conspiracy theories around it, and I thought, no. But now you put the logic together under the disguise of the criminal, the fraud, and the help the NHS that they broke intentionally, so that you think that you're going to be supporting it by not allowing somebody to purchase something because it's not right for them one way or the other, or their bank account doesn't reflect the money that's being spent, or they're spending too much. All of those control measures are going to impact you.
I think the only thing that's keeping us from seeing the rollout of this here in the U.S. is that we have more guns than citizens. But we're quickly reaching the point where that's not going to help us anymore. I think the only good that's going to do us at the moment is that it's slowing the rollout. But at the very least, maybe the people that aren't paying attention right now will start to take notice whenever all these reports start coming out showing how this system is being used against citizens in other countries. But it's still not going to stop it. And once they roll this out officially in the UK, that'll probably be the last time that we actually hear from anyone online there. You'd be an idiot to start making disparaging posts about your government when they have the ability to just shut off your access to your finances at the drop of a hat. You're just signing up for slow starvation at that point. Everyone's going to have no choice but to just fall in line.
Our calendar is not quite right. We're supposed to have 13 months of 28 days, with one day, the day of resurrection, Easter, as a neutral day. That's our 365 days. We've actually got 13 constellations, not 12. This same calendar is very close to the Mayan calendar, but it's also very close to several ancient Sanskrit calendars. What does Stepp mean? 7. I thought that was the 9th month. What does Oct mean? What does Nov mean? What does Dec mean? It's supposed to be the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th month. Jan is 11. Feb is 12. March is 13. April is our first month. Babies are born in the spring, the 1st of April, Easter. This is the start of our new year. It's the start of spring, when the flowers start coming up, the grass starts coming up, the trees start leafing out, the babies are born. That's the first day. Our neutral day, day 1. The day we rest and celebrate the resurrection, the new beginning, the beginning of Christ. April is month 1. And then we lost a month in there. Where is it?
I had to switch gears here. I was starting to feel like I was going to convince somebody to jump off a ledge. I know this episode has been really heavy, and I promise I'm not trying to make anyone lose hope. I just don't see a way out of this. But I wanted to show this to show anyone who hasn't seen it yet. This should be enough to make anyone start questioning things. Like, why would they move our calendars around? When I say that everything is an attempt to hide our Creator and our Savior from us, I mean everything. And if all of these control mechanisms that the governments of the world are inflicting on citizens right now are making you feel like there's no room for hope, there is a place to find hope. Keep your eyes on heaven and don't fret about the destruction of this world. This is literally our only way out of this. I know we have some who watch who don't even entertain the idea of creationism, and that's completely your decision. I'm not going to tell anyone else what to believe in. This time last year, I didn't believe, but just look at how the evidence stacks up. Just ask yourself, do you really want to find yourself wishing that you had given it a little bit more thought when you realize it's too late?
Look at their rockets. This is how they claim they get into outer space, is these rockets. Their rockets never go straight up. Every single rocket launch from a government space agency, you'll notice, follows a parabolic curve. It goes up, It reaches a peak, but what they do is as the rocket starts coming back down, they make sure that it goes down over the ocean, out of the way of any curious observers. Anyone can see it coming back down to Earth, asks, hey, how come the rocket's not going up anymore? Well, it's going around the curvature of the Earth, is what they tell us. So every single rocket, the reason that it follows a parabolic curve, they say, is because it's going around the curvature of the Earth. The real reason is they can't get up any higher than that.
Sorry to tell you, the only thing that's been to space is your imagination.
They tell us that the Earth is a sphere. They show us pictures of a sphere, of a circle. It's a perfect circle. And then they come out and they say, well, it's actually an oblate spheroid. Oh, what's that? Well, it's a sphere that's flattened at both poles, so it's more of an oval shape. It actually bulges out south of the equator, as well as being flattened at the poles. So it's more pear-shaped.
So it's not actually a sphere. It's oblate. And officially it's an oblate spheroid. That's what we call it. But not only that, it's slightly wider below the equator than above the equator. A little chubbier. A little chubbier. Yeah. Chubby's a good word. It's like pear-shaped.
So now it's pear-shaped. So why are all of these official NASA photos and videos showing perfect spheres when it's actually an oblate spheroid or a pear-shaped spheroid? They can't get their story straight. The reason they keep changing it is that to fit the model, they have to change the shape of the Earth. South of the equator is larger than north of the equator because lines of longitude that just extend outwards, they don't contract back. So they can see that in their pair model. They say, well, the side bulges out south of the equator. It's bigger south of the equator. Yeah, it is, because it's flat. But instead of admitting that, they just, make tweaks to their model as time goes on. They say that the ball Earth tilts back 23.5 degrees. That's another tweak they made because we can see Polaris, which is right over the North Pole, from 23.5 degrees south latitude. Shouldn't be able to see that on a ball. So they just tilt the Earth back and then okay, now you can see it. And so they come up with explanations in reverse like this. Damage control, reverse engineered explanations.
I feel like it would be impossible to hear them saying that it's an oblate spheroid and then see the official images of the globe that NASA gives us, and not at least entertain the idea that they could be lying to us about the shape of our Earth. And again, let me say this, I'm not saying that I know the shape of the Earth. I've never been high enough above it to get a good look personally, but clearly neither have they. They're obviously lying to us about the Earth being a globe, and the only other reasonable model out there is the flat Earth. That's the only other model I've seen that gives a reasonable explanation as to how this system functions. Now, I know that some will just still not be convinced, but I want to know. If you're still buying the globe after hearing from Looney Tune Neil deGrasse Tyson saying that it's an oblate spheroid, and then seeing all of the spherical Earth images that NASA gives to us, what is your reasoning? I'm just looking for the truth, so if you can prove me wrong, I genuinely want to know.
So I got this book on Marian apparition sightings and like a history of Mary, and almost all of the statues and images have 6 fingers or 6 toes on at least one limb, which is characteristic of the Nephilim. And I believe that the saints are actually the Nephilim. So I was just in Greece and I went to the Athens Archaeological Museum, and it's basically a museum of like the gods. Like you can clearly tell that this was a time when the Nephilim were on the earth. All of the female statues look exactly like Mary. And coincidentally, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just like in my Marian apparition book. I went to an ancient Catholic church. There's a giant Mary with angels serving her. I mean, this isn't just a difference in height. These are Nephilim, for sure. And I don't see how the imagery could be so consistent across multiple different things if there weren't people that saw this. Here's another one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And naturally, the Mycenaean jewelry has Freemason symbols on it. Another one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then there was multiple things that were like this. Remember we were talking about how like the powdered wig thing and the Nephilim looked like clowns? This guy has hooves. And then here's half man, half goat. See the half man, half goat with these people who are like double the size of these people. That's because these are Nephilim. And what do you know? The mythological manticore. I did a video on this. I don't even know what these are. Maybe they're sirens, but I'm showing you because I want to show you the hat or whatever it is that's on their heads. Does it look familiar to anybody?
Yes, sir.
There were also sculptures of reptilians walking around. So there's quite a few parallels between the small hats and the Nephilim, and things that make it, in my opinion, plainly obvious that they worship the Nephilim. But here's something even weirder. So Martin Luther wrote a book in the early 1500s called On the Blues and Their Lies. He says that they were arrogant, raving, mad, and using stupid folly, boasting that they were created as males and not as females. They did not learn such tomfoolery from Israel, but from the Goyim. For history records that the Greek Plato daily accorded God such praise and thanksgiving, if such arrogance and blasphemy may be termed praise of God. We have talked about this before. Actual Gentiles were the Greeks, the Nephilim. And remember, Satan and the synagogue of Satan are naturally going to turn all truth upside down. And I showed a clip a while back from Donald's Math Magic Land. It's like a Donald Duck cartoon from, I think, the 50s. And they were talking about how Plato was the first egghead and how he invented like music and mathematics and the globe. And there's very clear, subtle messaging that they were saying that he was like a Nephilim. So let's bring them into it. Notice the hat. Same exact hat as the blues, okay? So I saw this book at the bookstore today, and I got it because it has the Wicker Man, and I thought, maybe that's like the Trojan horse. And you guys know how I am. If I see a story that's like almost the exact same or very, very similar across different cultures, we're looking at it. Because I'm at the point where it's like, everything that they say is a myth or a legend is the truth, and everything that they say is true is a myth. So basically the story goes that the Druids were doing like ancient magic, and they would sacrifice people that disagreed with them by putting them into a giant wicker man and lighting it on fire. That is where the idea of the Burning Man festival seems to come from. But look at this. That is a Pope hat. And then look at this. Same type of creature that I showed you that was in the Mycenaean Museum. We apparently know like nothing about the Druids because we have almost no record. This book is only like 20 pages long. I haven't read it yet, but I just couldn't get over this. And then I started to realize, does anyone remember that the Pope opened that magical door like around Christmas time of this past year? And look at how this year has been. They're definitely partaking in Druid magic, and I personally believe that the Pharisees are the synagogue of Satan, the current day, and that the Sadducees rebranded as the Catholic Church because the Sadducees dissipated about 70 years before the Catholic Church popped up and became a thing, which was like 100 or so years after the crucifixion. So in a nutshell, it very much tracks that the Blues and the Catholics are still together. And Martin Luther seems to have the exact same thing in his head. He puts the papacy right beside the Blues and Islam. So those of you that know about like the Chrislam thing that they're trying to do as like the one world religion, if you know, you know. I truly believe that they are working together and have been for centuries to try to normalize Nephilim worship so that people aren't surprised. Because has anybody ever taken notice of the fact that the Catholic Church was the group that started the globe theory and like evolution because they're ran by Jesuits? And what do we need the globe theory for? To accept the idea of an alien invasion, aka giants in the sky, the Nephilim coming back. Jesus said it would be like the days of Noah. So remember how I showed you that in the museum there was the Mycenaean stuff, so like the Nephilim Babylonian stuff, but also there was multiple different things of Freemason stuff. I just showed you the one picture. There was Freemasonry symbols on everything. Well, Freemasons love the number 33. Numbers 1333. There we saw the Nephilim, and we seemed to ourselves like grasshoppers, and so we seemed to them. And apparently the Pentagon believes that the Anunnaki are coming back soon. Anunnaki?
I know that clip was kind of skirting the line, but I uploaded it as a test clip to YouTube, and they were going to let me post it, so I think she may be onto something here. And I saw a video yesterday that made the claim that Islam was created by the Roman Catholic Church. I don't have any way to verify that, but the claims seem to have some weight to it to me. I would almost believe anything about the Catholic Church, though. And I'm not trying to step on any toes if we have any Catholic viewers, but I absolutely detest the Catholic Church for many different reasons. And I'm not going to get into all those reasons because I don't want anyone who's watching to feel like I'm attacking their religious beliefs. I'll just say they have too much satanic symbolism for my taste. And any church that updates their views based on cultural persuasion just can't be scripturally accurate. But what do y'all think about this? I think she may be onto something. The Catholic Church, and again, this is just my opinion, but I view them as teaching a false doctrine. So in my opinion, that aligns them with the beast. So this would absolutely make sense. We just need more details to confirm it.
What I'm here to tell people is that when Project Bluebeam is used, again, it's not going to be by the United States. It's not going to be by national. It's going to be by global government. They're the ones who are going to use this stuff. And it's going to be not just a bunch of pretty holograms. They're going to be using it for religious figures. They're going to have Jesus in the sky, but it's not just going to be holograms. There's going to be voice-to-skull technology. It's also going to be used. They're going to be able to have these figures speak to every human being on the planet. Imagine the impact of that they're going to be able to see the figure and also hear the figure talking to them. You know, it's amazing. I think that is the particular reason why Jesus said in the Bible, my sheep hear my voice and they will recognize my voice. And I think that was an anticipation of when this operation goes forward. And it's going to go forward in conjunction also with the great fake alien invasion. It's going to go forward with that. And who knows, it's going to be also a sweetener. It's going to be, instead of, we're going to have, maybe 10 or 20 UAPs that have incredible destructive capacity against our cities. But then with Project Bluebeam, they can make those appear like 200 or 300 or 400 UAPs. See, that's what they can do. And also these holograms, we call them holograms because that's the word that we know. But they're gonna probably have the capacity for noise, for sound, for solidity, temporary solidity as well. And then you can say, well, but then that's not a hologram. Well, yeah, it's probably gonna be something that is several steps above a hologram as well. So these are the things that we're facing, and these things are gonna be faced all at once.
I think this scares me more than anything. I know that the control mechanisms are coming. I know that a great deception is coming. But how are we supposed to know if that really is or isn't Christ coming down through those clouds? I think our only hope is that their plan never comes to fruition, that before things get this far out of hand, we get raptured out of here. But like every other man that's ever existed, currently exists, or will exist in the future, I have no idea whenever this is going to happen. I just hope that when the great deception takes place, that those of us that are saved are able to see that lie for what it is. I would imagine they won't be able to help themselves, though, from using that hologram in the clouds to push their control mechanisms. I'm sure we'll be able to tell it's a trick by what's being said and done by that false messiah. And I want to add before I go, I know that this video took a hard turn into religion, but that's just where this stuff is pointing. I can't not talk about it. I apologize if anyone feels like I'm beating them over the head with it. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to drop your comments and your theories in the comments section down below. But guys and gals, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day. And I will see you all tomorrow.